After the breakup with my last girlfriend, moving into this pricey but blessedly quiet apartment complex in Seattle, I had one goal: peace. I needed space, needed time to lick my wounds, and, well, piece back together the pride that disastrous relationship had shattered. My job as an architect kept me swamped. Overtime was the norm. Living alone, for me, was just right. Simple, orderly, no need to deal with anyone. Until she moved in across the hall. The first time I saw Lily Carter was on her moving day. She was in a simple white t-shirt and jeans, her hair pulled back in a high ponytail, a few stray strands plastered to her forehead with sweat. Yet, her face was lit up with an incredibly bright smile, like a recent college grad, clean, sunny, with a touch of endearing cluelessness. She saw me stepping out of my apartment and actually took the initiative to greet me. "Hi, hello, I'm your new neighbor, Lily Carter. Hope we can be good neighbors." Her voice was clear like wind chimes. I just nodded and, out of politeness, offered my own name, Ethan Cole. Then, I closed my door. The only thought in my head was, please, don't be too loud. However, I underestimated my new neighbor's enthusiasm. The second day after she moved in, around 9 at night, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Lily. She was wearing adorable bunny pajamas, holding an empty electric kettle, a slightly sheepish smile on her face. Mr. Cole, she said softly, sorry to bother you. My kettle seems to have died, and I can't boil any water. Could I possibly use yours to heat up some water? I was hoping to make some ramen. I looked at her wide, blinking eyes, and the refusal that had formed on my lips just dissolved. Come on in. I stepped aside to let her in, watching her in my kitchen, expertly boiling water and making her ramen, all while chattering her thanks. The slight annoyance I'd felt at being disturbed began to fade. Whatever, I thought, neighbors helping each other out is normal, I guess. The third day, 10 o'clock at night, the doorbell rang again. Still Lily. This time, she was holding her phone, a troubled look on her face. "Mr. Cole, my Wi-Fi just cut out. I can't get to connect, no matter what. And I have a draft due tomorrow. Could you possibly?" I sighed, resigned, and handed her the sticky note with my Wi-Fi password. "Thank you. You're a lifesaver." She took the note, flashing me an incredibly grateful smile. The fourth day, 5 in the afternoon, she was back. This time, it was a delivery, a massive box she couldn't lift. The fifth day, 8 in the evening, her kitchen light bulb burned out. The sixth day, I started to wonder if she was doing this on purpose. How many coincidences could there be? But looking at her always sincere, or at least seemingly sincere, expression when she asked for help, I also thought, maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe she really was just a bit scatterbrained, a bit in need of assistance. Besides, apart from these minor inconveniences, she was usually very quiet, never noisy. She even occasionally brought over some cookies she'd baked or extra fruit she had, and they actually tasted pretty good. And so it went after she had relentlessly knocked on my door 13 times. The 14th time, she appeared again. This time, she wasn't holding anything, just standing at my door, smiling at me. I leaned against the doorframe, looking at her with a certain helplessness. "All right, Miss Carter, what is it this time? What do you need to borrow now? Ketchup? Olive oil? Or cat food?" Yes, she also had a cat. According to her, it was very shy. I'd never seen her bring it out. She looked at me, then suddenly burst out laughing. "Not borrowing anything today," she said. I just started to breathe a sigh of relief. But then she took a step forward, closer to me. Those eyes, always crinkling with a smile, were now sparkling, watching me, holding something I couldn't quite decipher. She paused, her voice soft, yet it landed like a small pebble in the calm waters of my heart. "Today, I'm here to pay you back." "Pay me back? For what?" I was a little confused. She looked at me, the corners of her mouth turning up, revealing a pair of cute dimples. Then, in an almost declarative tone, she said, with perfect clarity, "Pay you back for this past month. For all the butterflies." "Pay me back? For butterflies?" Lily's completely off-the-wall statement left me utterly dumbfounded. Butterflies? What butterflies was she talking about? This girl, was she all there? Seeing my stunned, deer-in-the-headlights expression, Lily's smile widened. She didn't explain further, just gave me a playful wink, then turned and, like a light-winged butterfly, fluttered back in her own nest, leaving me alone, disheveled in the metaphorical wind by my doorway. Butterflies, those two words like a mantra spun around in my head all night, agitating me, making me restless. What on earth did she mean? Was it a joke? Or was she serious? If she was serious, then she felt that way about me. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Me, Ethan Cole, an architect fresh off a breakup, with a personality as exciting as drying paint, absorbed in nothing but work. What was there about me that could give her butterflies? I must have been overthinking it. She was definitely kidding. Or maybe it was some new, kind underscore of pickup line. I tried to use all sorts of rational analyses to dismiss that absurd possibility. But the traitorous, accelerated thumping of my heart silently reminded me. Ethan Cole, you seem to be losing your cool a little. From that day on, Lily seemed to pull back a bit. She no longer found all sorts of excuses to knock on my door every day. But she didn't disappear. Instead, she adopted a more subtle, like a spring rain moistening the earth, kind of approach, bit by bit, seeping into my life. She'd sign for my packages if I forgot, then send me a text reminder. On nights when I worked late, she'd text me, Mr. Cole, I made usually something I'd mention liking, like lasagna. Want to try some? There's plenty left in the pot. When the landlord sent out reminders for utility payments, she'd, by the way, pay mine along with hers, then send me a screenshot of the bill and her Venmo QR code. She even managed to foster her supposedly very shy ragdoll cat with me. Under the pretext of being away on a business trip for a few days, could you please look after him? That fluffy cat, named Machi, wasn't shy at all. He was incredibly friendly. He quickly made himself at home, treating my apartment like his second territory. Every day, he was either sprawled across my laptop keyboard or hogging my favorite spot on the sofa to sleep. And Lily, using excuses like visiting Machi, bringing Machi cat food, or playing with Machi, started to frequent my apartment even more. Verbally, I'd say, you don't have to trouble yourself. I can manage. You should take your cat back soon. But my body was quite honest. I'd habitually glance at her door when I got home from work. I'd habitually set out an extra plate and utensils at mealtime, even though she might not come. I'd habitually find my lips curving into a smile when I saw Machi's goofy, adorable face. I even started to look forward to it, to anticipate what new excuse she'd come up with today to disturb my peaceful life. I felt like a wild animal slowly being tamed, knowing full well that getting closer was dangerous, knowing I shouldn't indulge. Yet, in her seemingly harmless, sun-drenched approach, I was gradually, bit by bit, letting down my guard and also exposing that deep-seated, warmth craving, vulnerability. Lily, what on earth are you trying to do? What are you after by getting close to me? I looked at Machi, purring contentedly on my lap, my mind a complete mess. Just as Lily's boiling a frog in lukewarm water style of infiltration was driving me crazy. Yet, admittedly, I was kind of enjoying it. An unexpected discovery completely unsteadied me. That day, I randomly clicked on Lily's Instagram profile. She was a lifestyle influencer, sharing posts about food, new cafe discoveries, travel, and her fluffy cat, Machi. Her style was light and fun, the content polished. It was clear she put a lot of effort into it. Her follower count was surprisingly high. I casually scrolled through her videos and posts. And then, in a reel about a weekend at-home art viewing, I saw a familiar photo. It was a concept model I had exhibited at a small architectural design showcase last year. The angle of the photo was clearly taken on site, and the background music for the reel was an instrumental piece by an obscure indie band I absolutely loved. Hardly anyone knew this band. My heart leaped. Was it a coincidence? Possessed by some impulse, I started scrolling back through her older content. And then, I found more coincidences. She'd recommended the very coffee shop I frequented and accurately mentioned my favorite window seat. She'd shared a post about an extremely niche book on architectural theory. That book was my professional awakening. She even, in a video complaining about nightmare client demands, used the exact same meme I'd once posted in a private Facebook rant to my friends. This was absolutely not a coincidence. She knew me from before, and knew me inside out. I felt a layer of cold sweat instantly break out on my back. This thought was even more shocking than when she joked about borrowing a kiss. Who on earth was she? How did she know so much about me? Could it be she'd been secretly investigating me? I immediately closed her profile, my heart pounding uncontrollably. A feeling of being watched, of being schemed against, welled up inside me. All those seemingly innocent and harmless approaches, those perfectly timed gestures of concern. Now, in my eyes, they all seemed deliberate and premeditated. Her moving in across the hall was no accident at all. She had come specifically for me, but why? What was she after? Me, Ethan Cole, apart from a reasonably decent appearance and a job that kept me from starving. What else was there worthy of her going to such lengths to get close to me? Could it be she was sent by my recent ex-girlfriend to get revenge on me? No, the two of them didn't know each other at all, and their styles were completely different. The more I thought, the more confused I became, the more creeped out I felt. This Lily was far from simple. Behind that sweet smile, what kind of ulterior motive was hidden? No, I had to find out. I couldn't let her lead me by the nose like this anymore. I took a deep breath, stood up, walked to the door, and yanked it open. Across the hall, Lily's door happened to open at the exact same moment. She was about to step out, holding Machi in her arms. Seeing me, she paused, then broke into a sunny, bright smile. Hey, Mr. Cole, what a coincidence. Are you heading out? I ignored her greeting, walked straight up to her, my gaze locking on her eyes, my voice icy. Lily, who are you really? My sudden accusation, and the bone-chilling coldness in my eyes, made the smile on Lily's face freeze instantly. Her arms, holding the cat, tightened slightly. A flicker of panic crossed her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a kind of feigned, bewildered innocence. Mr. Cole, what? What do you mean? She blinked, trying to play dumb. I'm just Lily, really, I scoffed, stepping closer. Then perhaps Miss Carter could explain why a photo of my work appeared in your Instagram feed? Why you know which coffee shop I prefer, and my exact favorite seat? Why you're familiar with the obscure academic books from my field? And even the jokes I made about clients on a private Facebook post. You know them inside out? Don't tell me. I pressed that all of this is just a coincidence. Each of my questions landed like a sledgehammer blow to her heart. Her face grew paler and paler. Her eyes started to dart around. The fingers clutching Machi whitened from the pressure. I knew it. I was right. She had known me all along. And she knew everything about me. She opened her mouth, seeming to want to defend herself, but didn't know where to begin. Well, I advanced, cornering her by her doorway. You deliberately moved in across the hall from me. You kept finding excuses to get close to me. What was it all for? What were you after? My voice was slightly out of control from agitation, my chest heaving. Deceived, manipulated. The feeling made me furious and incredibly disappointed. I had actually almost fallen for such a calculating woman. Seeing the undisguised anger and disgust in my eyes, Lily's eyes slowly reddened. She lowered her head, silent for a long time. So long, I thought she wouldn't speak again. Then I heard her say, in a voice barely louder than a whisper, "Because I like you." What? I froze as if struck by lightning. What did she say? Likes me? You? What did you say? I stared at her, incredulous, doubting if I'd heard correctly. She lifted her head, her eyes red, but filled with a kind of desperate stubbornness and a sense of being wronged. I said, I like you. Ethan Cole. She suddenly raised her voice, as if venting or perhaps confessing. It started a long, long time ago, before you even knew I existed. My mind went completely blank. How on earth was this possible? She liked me? From a long time ago. How? Who are you really? My voice was dry. She bit her lip, took a deep breath, seemingly having finally made up her mind. I'm one of the very first followers of your design blog. Every article you posted, I read. Every competition you entered, I voted for you. She paused, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. That guest lecture you gave at the university last year, I secretly went to listen. Her voice grew softer, tinged with an almost imperceptible shyness. I've been following you for a very long time. I know what you like, what you don't like. I know your habits, your hobbies, even why you and your ex-girlfriend broke up. Her words were like a series of bombs, exploding one after another in my mind. A follower. That lecture. She even knew why I broke up with Amanda. This woman had secretly been in love with me for so long, and had investigated everything about me so thoroughly. This was just, I didn't know what word to use to describe how I felt right then. Shocked? Absurd? Or a tiny, unsettling feeling of being watched. So, I struggled to process this information. You moved in across the hall. Just to mention. She nodded, her eyes surprisingly firm. I knew you just had a bad breakup, that you weren't feeling great. I wanted to be closer to you, to see if there was a chance. A chance. To do what? I asked almost unconsciously. She looked at me, and suddenly she smiled. A smile that held a hint of slyness, a hint of an absolute certainty of success. A chance. To make you mine. To make you mine. Lily said it with such conviction, such undeniable certainty, as if I weren't an adult male with free will, but rather an item she had long set her sights on and was determined to acquire. The feeling made me deeply uncomfortable, even somewhat repulsed. Yes, being secretly admired and actively pursued by a pretty girl might be something many men dream of. But, in this way, meticulously investigating me, moving in across the hall, using all sorts of excuses to get close and possibly even secretly observing my every move from places I didn't know, that wasn't liking. That was obsession. That was calculation. It made me feel like a carefully targeted prey. Lily, I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice calm, but it still carried a chill. I appreciate your feelings, but we're not a good match. Not a good match. She raised an eyebrow, seemingly surprised by my rejection. Why not? I paused, trying to find some objective reasons. Our lifestyles are different, and our personalities are not quite the same. Besides, I just ended a relationship, and I'm not looking to start a new one right now. I knew these reasons were flimsy, but I had to turn her down. I couldn't accept being with a woman who might be constantly scheming around me. Hearing my words, the smile on Lily's face slowly faded. It was replaced by a look of hurt and disappointment. Is it because I'm not good enough? She looked down, her voice laced with dejection. No. Then is it because you still can't forget her? She abruptly looked up, her gaze sharp and piercing. I fell silent. I truly hadn't completely let go of my previous relationship. That 5-year involvement, which ultimately ended due to a mismatch in our future plans and her family's disapproval, had left a deep scar. That was why I so desperately craved peace. Seeing my silence, the light in Lily's eyes dimmed, like stars that had burned out their last flicker of light. I get it, she said softly, her voice carrying a weariness and a sense of surrender I'd never heard from her before. She said nothing more, nor did she look at me again. Just holding that fluffy cat, she silently turned and walked back into her apartment. Her retreating figure looked surprisingly desolate and lonely. Staring at her closed door, I suddenly felt uneasy. Had I been too harsh? She seemed genuinely heartbroken. But what else could I do? Was I supposed to accept her out of pity, or that unidentifiable flutter of emotion? That wouldn't be fair to her, or to me. Forget it. This was for the best. A clean break. Better a short pain now than a long one later. We were never from the same world anyway. Going back to being ordinary neighbors was probably the best outcome. However, in the days that followed, events once again took an unexpected turn. Lily truly stopped bothering me. She no longer knocked on my door, no longer invented excuses. Even when we passed in the hallway, she'd just lower her head and hurry past, as if she didn't know me. She seemed to have genuinely given up. Logically, I should have felt relieved. Finally free of this troublesome neighbor, I could return to my peaceful life. But why did I feel so empty inside? Why did I find myself straining to hear any sound from her apartment? Why, when opening my own door, did I instinctively glance toward her closed one? Why did I start to miss her chattering voice, her sunny smile even, her ridiculous excuses? And that fluffy cat named Machi hadn't come over for a visit in days either. I felt like something was off with me, as if I'd grown accustomed to something's presence, and only when it suddenly vanished did I realize I actually couldn't live without it. This realization struck me like a blow. No way. Me, Ethan Cole, had actually developed feelings for that calculating Lily Carter. Habit, it's a terrifying thing. Like a frog in slowly warming water, it changes your temperature, your heartbeat, before you even realize it. In the days Lily no longer came to bother me, my so-called peaceful life suddenly became exceptionally long and dull. In the morning, no one mistakenly knocked on my door offering a warm glass of milk, which I never drank anyway. At noon, no one texted me, Mr. Cole, want me to grab you some lunch? Though I always declined. In the evening, the living room no longer echoed with her clear laughter as she watched her reality shows. The balcony, too, was empty of her silhouette, holding her cat, enjoying the moonlight. The door across the hall felt like an icy barrier, re-separating us into two different worlds. And it also walled off that little bit of warmth that had quietly started to grow in my heart. I started having trouble sleeping, lying in bed, tossing and turning. My mind would uncontrollably drift to her. I'd remember her mischievous smile the first time she knocked on my door. Remember her curled up asleep on my sofa with Machi, completely unguarded. Remember her fumbling attempt to make me chicken noodle soup when I had a cold. She nearly set the kitchen on fire that time. Remember her downcast eyes and lonely back after I rejected her. My heart felt heavy, constricted, an unspeakable discomfort. Ethan Cole, oh Ethan Cole, did you truly mess up? Were you too harsh on her? She'd admired you for so long, mustered so much courage to approach you. And you pushed her away in the coldest, most hurtful way possible. All because of that ridiculous pride? That fear of the past? I grew increasingly irritable. My work started to suffer. I redid design blueprints over and over, never satisfied. Client demands felt more grating than ever. I even started to miss the days of being harassed by Lily. At least back then, life was vibrant, colorful. Not like now, lifeless, a monotonous gray. Just as I was about to be overwhelmed by this sense of loss and regret, my ex-girlfriend, Amanda Vance, suddenly reappeared. She'd somehow found out my address and showed up directly at my door. Dressed in an expensive suit, with flawless makeup, she stood at the entrance of my modest rental, her eyes filled with a familiar, condescending scrutiny. Ethan, she began, her tone laced with a kind of patronizing gentleness. I heard, things haven't been going too well for you lately. You really can't make it without me, can you? She continued, a smirk playing on her lips. I told you back then, we're not from the same world. Your little bit of talent and pride, they're nothing in the face of reality. She paused, raising her hand, intending to stroke my cheek as she used to. I instinctively turned my head, avoiding her touch. Her hand froze mid-air, her expression turning sour. Ethan, she took a deep breath, softening her tone. I know you're still angry with me, but that's all in the past. I'm doing very well now. My father's firm is thriving. If you're willing to come back to me. She looked at me, her eyes holding a hint of pity. I can help you get back on your feet, help you return to the kind of circles you should be in. Listening to her words, I only felt an immense sense of irony and disgust. Yes, when we broke up, a large part of it was because her parents looked down on my ordinary background, claiming I couldn't give her the life she wanted. And she had indeed, very quickly, found solace in the arms of another suitable, wealthy heir, though I heard that didn't last either. I had once been pained by it, felt indignant. But now, looking at this woman before me, still measuring everything by money and status, I suddenly felt incredibly fortunate. Fortunate that I had broken up with her. Fortunate that I hadn't become someone like her, corrupted by materialism and vanity. And suddenly I missed Lily. Missed her with an overwhelming intensity. Missed her silly, yet incredibly sincere affection. Missed her clumsy, yet incredibly warm care. Missed her clear, untainted eyes. No need, I told Amanda, my voice even but laced with an undeniable coolness. I'm doing just fine now. Fine. She scoffed as if I'd told a hilarious joke. Ethan, don't be so stubborn. Just look at this place you're living in. You. Where I live is none of your concern. I cut her off, my gaze icy. Ms. Vance, if there's nothing else, please leave. You. She was probably unaccustomed to such bluntness, her face flushing then paling. Ethan, don't be ungrateful. I'm only doing this because. Because of what? I looked at her. Because of our past connection? Amanda, there's nothing left between us. Not since the moment you chose your brighter future and didn't hesitate to throw me aside. So, please, don't come disturbing my life again. With that, I stopped looking at her face, now twisted with anger, and shut the door. Isolating Amanda, that chapter of my past, on the other side of the door didn't bring any sense of victory. Only a more intense emptiness and loss. Amanda's appearance had been like a mirror, reflecting my current pathetic state and also reflecting the damnable concern I felt deep down for Lily. I couldn't go on like this. I couldn't keep deceiving myself. I wanted to see Lily. I regretted it. Regretted how I treated her. Regretted pushing away the person who was possibly the only one in this world who genuinely liked me. But if I turned back now, was it too late? Would she still care about me? Had she completely given up on me? Maybe even moved out? After all, the landlord had mentioned wanting to sell the building. She could move at any time. That thought struck my heart like a hammer. No, I couldn't let her leave. I yanked my door open and lunged across the hall, pounding on Lily's door. Lily, Lily, open up. I know you're in there. I need to talk to you. Open the door. But after knocking for a long time, there was no response from inside. Could it be she'd really moved out already? My heart plummeted to the depths. A huge wave of panic and regret swept over me. No, it couldn't be. She wouldn't just leave like this, like a madman. I continued to pound on the door. Lily, open up. Please, let me explain. I know I was wrong. Don't go. Don't leave me. I was even starting to babble incoherently, just when I was on the verge of despair. The door to the neighboring apartment suddenly opened. An older woman, Mrs. Henderson, poked her head out, frowning at me. Young man, what's all this banging? Miss Carter left this morning with her suitcase. Gone. She was really gone. I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning, my entire body turning cold, frozen to the spot, unable to move. My mind was a complete blank. All that remained was boundless regret and despair. I had finally lost her. That one girl who had treated me with genuine sincerity. Pushed away by my own hands. I don't know how I managed to stumble back into my apartment, completely dazed. The whole world just seemed gray. My heart felt hollow, as if a piece had been gouged out, letting a cold wind whistle through. Lily was gone, taking her heart, which I had thoroughly broken. She had vanished completely from my world. Serves you right, Ethan Cole. You absolutely deserve this. I collapsed onto the sofa, staring at the empty room and the twilight gradually deepening outside the window. For the first time, I felt with such clarity what regret truly meant. If only I hadn't said those hurtful things back then. If only I had recognized my own feelings sooner. If only, but alas, there were no if-onlys. Just as I was sinking into an endless abyss of self-blame and remorse, my gaze unintentionally fell upon the shoe cabinet by the door. There seemed to be something on it. A small envelope. I paused, walked over, and picked up the envelope. It was very light. No writing on it. Confused, I tore it open. What fell out wasn't a letter. It was a key I was all too familiar with. It was Lily's apartment key. She had left her key. What did this mean? Could it be she hadn't gone far? She was just. My heart instantly started a race, like a drowning man clutching at the last straw. Holding the key, my hand trembling, I rushed across the hall again. I inserted the key into the lock. Turned it, click. The door opened. I flung the door open. The apartment was empty. Everything had been moved out. Only a faint, delicate scent of gardenias lingered in the air. She was still gone. Then, this key. My eyes fell upon the center of the living room floor. There lay a folded piece of paper. I walked over, bent down, and picked up the note. My fingers trembled slightly with nerves. I unfolded it. On it, there was only a single line of neat, elegant handwriting. It read, I took over the lease. It's mine for the year. The key's for you. Feel free to borrow anything you need. But this time, I'll be waiting for you to knock on my door. This time, I'll be waiting for you to knock on my door. Looking at that line on the note, written with a hint of slyness, a hint of anticipation, my eyes instantly welled up. My heart felt like it was overflowing with something, a mix of sourness, warmth, and an indescribable, immense joy and the relief of having recovered something precious. She hadn't left. She hadn't truly gone. She was just giving me a chance with this gesture. A chance for me to actively go to her. This silly girl. This wonderfully silly and stubborn girl. I clutched the key and the note tightly, bolted out of the apartment, and ran downstairs like a lunatic. I had to find her. Immediately. Right now. I had to tell her how much I regretted everything. How much I missed her. How much I loved her. I didn't know where she'd gone, but I knew she had to be somewhere nearby. She was waiting for me to knock on her door. I scoured every coffee shop in the neighborhood, every bookstore, every place she might possibly be. Over and over, I called out her name. Lily, Lily, where are you? Passers-by stared, looking at me as if I were crazy, but I didn't care. I just wanted to find her. Now, immediately, right away. It was a picture of serene beauty. So beautiful, like a painting. My steps faltered. Seeing her calm, peaceful demeanor, the anxiety and panic that had gripped me gradually subsided. In its place, a gentle, almost reverent emotion bloomed. I smoothed down my slightly disheveled clothes and hair from all the running. Took a deep breath. Then, towards her I walked, step by step with firm resolve. She seemed to hear my footsteps and looked up. When she saw it was me, she froze for a moment. Then, a radiant smile of profound relief spread across her face. That smile was warmer, more dazzling than the sunset. Instantly, it illuminated my entire gray world. I walked up to her and stopped. I didn't speak, just looked at her in my eyes, feeling a little hot. She didn't speak either, just looked at me, her eyes sparkling as if brimming with starlight. We just stood there, silently looking at each other, as if time had stopped in that moment. Everything around us faded into a blur. In our world, there was only each other. Finally, she was the one to speak first. What took you so long? Her voice held a barely perceptible hint of playful complaint. I smiled. Reaching out, I pulled her tightly into my arms. I'm sorry, I whispered in her ear, for making you wait. We held each other for a long time, so long that the sun had completely dipped below the horizon, and night had quietly fallen. Only then did we reluctantly separate. Our hands, however, remained tightly clasped. So, I looked at her, still a little unsure in my heart. You've really forgiven me? She tilted her chin playfully. Considering your rather sincere performance just now, I'll temporarily forgive you. However, her tone shifted, and she reached out a finger to gently poke my chest. You might be off the hook for the major offense, but you're not getting away scot-free. From now on, she narrowed her eyes like a sly little fox. You have to be doubly good to me. Make up for all the heartache you've caused me. Deal. I nodded immediately, my sincerity absolute. Whatever you say goes. My paycheck can go straight into a joint account. I'll do all the chores. You can borrow whatever you want. Anytime. She giggled at my earnestness, reaching up to pinch my cheek. That's more like it, she said, nodding with satisfaction. Then she stood on her tiptoes and pressed a sweet, gardenia-scented kiss onto my lips. Let's go, she said, taking my hand. Home. Home. The word, coming from her lips, carried an unprecedented warmth and sense of belonging. Yes, home. To our shared home. We walked back hand in hand slowly. The streetlights stretched our shadows long and also illuminated the path ahead of us. By the way, she suddenly remembered something and turned to ask me, your ex-girlfriend? What happened with her later? I knew she meant Amanda. Nothing. I shook my head. It's all in the past. Oh, she nodded, not pressing further. But I knew deep down, she was still a little bothered by it. This adorable, jealous little thing. I stopped walking, turned to face her, cupped her face in my hands, and looked into her eyes, speaking with utmost seriousness. Lily, listen to me carefully. My past is a closed chapter. My present and my future. I paused, then enunciated each word, clearly and distinctly. They only have you. Her eyes reddened again. But this time it wasn't from being wronged, not from sadness. It was full of happiness and overwhelming emotion. She sniffled, then proactively stood on her tiptoes and kissed me again. This kiss was deeper than the last, more lingering, as if trying to meld our very beings into each other's lives. After a long moment, our lips parted. She leaned against my chest, murmuring softly, Ethan Cole, from now on, you're not allowed to call me neighbor anymore. I feigned ignorance. Then what should I call you? She looked up, her cheeks flushed, but her eyes were sparkling, filled with a hint of slyness and anticipation. Call me. She leaned close to my ear, and in a voice only I could hear, whispered softly, wife.